Why do two 20-something-year-olds, why do we get obsessed with gold and silver, and why do we dedicate our lives to it?
We could have decided to be bankers. We could have decided to take advantage of people.
That's what I was gearing up to go do, was be a banker, was to wear the nice suit and live in the mansion and drive the Ferrari. That was the dream.
Why I go to sleep and I'm excited to wake up in the morning, because I'm genuinely helping people buy an asset that is nobody else's liability, that they're not relying on, and that will hold its value.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive, exactly right.
Hey everybody, welcome to Liberty Bullion's first podcast. Today we've got on one of our star employees, Stefanos.
Hello, hello.
Stef,
hello,
as
hello.
people know him as.
Nice to have me.
So today's podcast, we're just going to be talking about why we sell gold for a living. What's that all about? Why do two 20-something-year-olds, why do we get obsessed with gold and silver, something that's 5,000 years old, and why do we dedicate our lives to it?
A shiny rock.
So, welcome, Stef, to your first podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. It's
good to have you. Good to have you. I know that a lot of clients will have spoken to Stef over the phone, so good to finally put a face to the name and all of that.
Yeah.
So, you're a young man, you're 24?
Yeah.
So, what got you into gold and silver? Why do you sell this stuff for a living, and why did you start investing in it before that?
Well, it actually all started back in the day when we had that pandemic that we can't really talk about.
Oh, yeah, the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Yeah. And I had to sit home and all I did was think. And then, here in Melbourne, we had the longest lockdown out of anywhere in the whole world.
Yep.
Right?
Lockdown
and
capital.
I had plenty of time to think about what was going on in the world, why it was heading the direction it was heading.
Yep.
And eventually I quickly realized, and my background has always been in finance and accounting and economics. I absolutely love the topics. I used to work at a warehouse and I'd watch videos of finance and economics while I used to work there, while I was studying at my degree at Melbourne.
Good use of time, if you ask me.
Right?
Yeah.
And eventually you go down all of these rabbit holes to understand why the world is the way it is. Why is there so much debt? Why are people struggling for so much? The sheer amount of debt that's in the world. I quickly realized that, eventually you go down through all the rabbit holes, you quickly realize that gold and silver is the answer.
Yep.
Especially when you get an unfiltered view of what the financial system really is, of what the historical, importance of what that all is.
How we got here.
Exactly. Especially through the lens of gold and silver, you realize why these assets are so important.
Yep.
And from then on, once your eyes are awake, you can't go
unsee
back.
it. You can't unsee it. And that's a theme of my awakening as well. So for me, I've been investing in this stuff since 2018. That's when I started trading gold. It was 2018. Back then it was $1,200 US an ounce. Today we're at over 4,000. So it's done all right as an investment, to say the least. And for me, what got me interested in investing in the precious metals first, before I started selling it for a living, was essentially studying the level of currency creation since 2008, and particularly central banks, currency printing, unbacked by any real assets like gold or silver. You look at, like you say, the history of our monetary system, where up until, the 20th century, it was all backed by gold and silver. What happened to that? Why do we move away from it? The creation of the Federal Reserve at Jekyll Island. You start to go down some rabbit holes.
Conspiracy theories, I don't need to hear all that,
Anyway, we'll keep it moving on that one. But you realise that, money's not real, or currency's not real, should I say. And then you start to look for answers. And for me, I realised, again, this was in 2018, I realised how much currency we've printed since 2008. And I started looking at ways to bet on massive inflation. I saw it coming, 7 years ago now, the cost of living crisis that the West is experiencing today.
Which will only get worse.
It's only going to get worse, guys. I hate to say it. I don't mean to, rain on anyone's parade or to make you even more miserable, but the cost of living crisis is going to get even worse. So for me, I was a young, budding finance guy looking to place bets on the markets, trades, to try and get ahead in life and try and build my wealth. And I decided that betting on inflation, betting on the consequences of all of this currency creation, was the way to do it. And I'm very glad that I picked gold and silver as the way to do it. We've had an incredible 7 years or so since then, particularly the last few years have really taken off. And the reason that I've made a living out of selling this stuff to our clients is that I truly believe that gold and silver are the best place to keep your wealth for the next 5 to 10 years. So we've built a business out of it. We're very successful. I mean, last month we sold $30 million worth of precious metals. Our clients, we've generated them over $150 million in profit over the 2.5 years that we've been open.
People are starting to wake up.
And people are starting to wake up. So Sydney store opening next month. Stef's going up to run that store.
You'll see me there. You'll see me there.
Anyone in Sydney, come in and see Stef. But that's it, guys, is that both Stef and I did the same research, went to the same university, Melbourne University, to figure it all out.
Especially when, both of us did extremely well at uni. We could have decided to be bankers. We could have decided to take advantage of people and sell financial services that are not relevant, that people don't actually need, that we don't actually believe in. But this is something, this opportunity, especially gold and silver, real money, this is something that we both genuinely believe in.
100%.
We've backed our full wealth behind it. We say what we do.
We put our money where our mouth is.
Exactly.
And that has only done us good. This year, the price of gold up over 50%, the price of silver up 65%. Last year, the price of gold up 40%. And gold's averaged 9% a year since the year 2000. So this isn't some flash in the pan. This is an incredibly performing financial asset. And gold's had its best year since 1979.
And when you view the world through the lens of gold, I like to price things in ratios. When you divide asset classes by the gold price, you can see what the difference is between the actual improvement in that asset class or the just in general inflation, the actual just money printing. And housing is a great example.
Absolutely. You look at your house price going up. How much of that is actually your house getting more valuable versus the currency that you denominate in your house losing its value? If your house is up 5% for the year, but inflation's at 10% for the year, are you really up or are you down 5%? Oh, but Sam, the dollar price has gone up. You've been tricked. You've been tricked. You've been had. I'm sorry to say it, you've been had.
So, it's one of those things where we have to learn to view the economic side of it with a proper lens. And when you do that through gold and silver, especially with something like housing, it requires a lot of demand-side incentives. Right? They need to incentivize you to borrow more. They want to cripple you financially. They don't care whether you are wealthy or not. They don't care. They want the bank's best product are mortgages.
Absolutely.
We know C-suite bankers and they hate mortgages.
Absolutely.
They love it for the bank, but not for themselves.
And that's something that I'd like to touch on, something you said earlier, where Stef and I, we've got the finance background, we've got the uni, we can go become bankers. We could have. And to be honest, when I first went into uni, that's what I was gearing up to go do, was be a banker, was to wear the nice suit and live in the mansion and drive the Ferrari. That was the dream. But once I'd learned how the sausage gets made, I started to get a bit disgusted with sausages.
Who it takes advantage of.
I thought, you know what, I don't like sausages anymore. I don't want to sell sausages for a living. No. And that's when we started talking about real money with our clients. And we get our clients into wealth positions. As I said, we've generated our clients over $150 million in profit. And, you compare that to going to work for a bank. What's the news that we saw come out this week? Donald Trump pushing 50-year mortgages in the US. There's a lot of people out there who probably think that's a good thing. They've been brainwashed a bit. They think, 50-year mortgage.
I want you to borrow more.
Oh, now those who couldn't afford a 30-year mortgage can get in with a 50-year mortgage. Well, guys, in case you haven't run the maths, which we have, we've got the background, a 30-year mortgage on an $800,000 property is about $800,000 in interest over the space of the 30 years. So the bank doubles their money. But a $800K mortgage over 50 years is $2.1 million in interest for the banks. You might think that this is a scheme to help out the guy trying to get his foot on the property ladder. It is not. That puts him in debt until he's 80. If he buys a house at 30, he'll make his last payment at 80. That is 15 years after the retirement age. You might think that this is to help those trying to get their foot on the property ladder, and those who couldn't afford a 30-year mortgage can now afford a 50-year mortgage with lower repayments. This is absolutely not about helping the average person out there. This is not about helping your fellow man get on the property ladder. This is about generating bankers billions, if not trillions of dollars in extra interest so that they can go buy their extra Ferrari, their extra tailored suit, and their extra mansion. Well done, Donald Trump, and well done, the mortgage bankers.
Don't get me started on the stimulus package he's thinking. $2,000 per person.
$2,000 per person handout. I wonder what that's going to do to prices. If you hand out free money,
especially when they printed all that money during COVID,
right? And this leads to the question of, this goes back to a very elementary understanding of economics. let me ask you the question, Steph. If we want to get rid of poverty, why don't we just print up $1 million and give it to everybody? A mil for you, a mil for you, a mil for you. Everyone's a millionaire. No one's poor anymore. Why can't we do that, Steph?
Because those dollars have to go somewhere. Those dollars have to chase assets. Eventually, it bids the price of assets right up. And those same exact people, because they don't have the traits indicative to succeed and they don't understand how the financial system actually works, they end up being poor anyways, just in a currency that's lost most of its value. And then the assets skyrocket in price and they're actually worse off. You know, one of the wonders of the world is compound interest, and that can work for you or against you. And if you want to protect yourself and stop yourself from being taken advantage of financially, because this is why we do this. This is the exact reason why we do this. This is why I go to sleep and I'm excited to wake up in the morning, because I'm genuinely helping people buy an asset that is nobody else's liability, that they're not relying on, and that will hold its value. I'm Greek, I've got ancient Greek, I had to mention that I'm Greek, I've got ancient Greek coins that are 2,000 years old, and if I melted them down, they're still bloody valuable. That's the point. That's the reason. And they will try and lie, they will try and misconstrue, they will try and distract, which is what they're good at. They don't want you to know the truth, and the answer to a lot of our problems, other than being smarter and more useful in society, is gold and silver.
And that's it. I mean, if you want to protect yourself from the currency printer, which everybody needs to.
It won't stop.
It won't stop. And when you understand the level of currency printing, currency creation, and the sickness of it, I mean, we live in a very interesting society where if I was to print currency out of thin air and hand it out to myself and my mates, I would get put in jail for over 15 years for counterfeiting. But when the central bank creates currency out of thin air...
commercial banks as well.
Commercial banks. That's just called monetary policy, and that's how the system works, Sam. So you just need to nut up and shut up and just go back to work, mate. Keep working for those dollars. So that's why both Steph and I are completely disgusted with the fiat currency system as it is. We look at how it treats our fellow man or woman and how it robs them of their economic energy over time through an insidious process that most don't understand. It's a little bit too complex, it seems. And that's why we've made it our life mission to educate people, to help them understand the system and how to benefit from a fiat currency system, because you can benefit from it. All of the Liberty Bullion clients are benefiting from the currency printer. The more currency that they create, the more they devalue the dollar, the higher that pushes gold and silver prices. So if you don't have any gold and silver, the price of gold and silver means nothing to you. Oh, silver went up 4.5% last night. Who cares, mate? That doesn't affect me.
That's how much wealth you've actually lost if you weren't holding it.
If you'd bought 100 grand of silver off us yesterday, you'd be up 4.5 grand today, which is way more than you're going to make it work this week, right? So that's where the understanding comes in, is that when you make the right choices, when you prepare accordingly, all of a sudden, a system that's designed to rob you can all of a sudden start to benefit you. And that's why we have such such massive inequality in our society at the moment. There's the haves and the have-nots.
And it'll only get worse. The middle class will slowly get eroded.
The middle class will get eroded. As Lenin said, they're going to grind the middle class between the grinding stones of taxation and inflation. Whatever they don't take off you by the tax man, they're going to rob you with inflation. So you need to get smart. You need to get streetwise as to how this all works. And you start making good choices. You need to start putting your wealth in the right places.
And something on the price of gold and silver especially with gold, what you'll notice is that the price of gold is exponentially increasing, right? It's a derivative of the inflation. So that price is represented in the inflation. They need to increase the currency supply. You can look this up and we'll show charts. We'll show the relevant charts up on the screen now. But the currency supply has to increase at an increasing rate. It has to compound. So each period, each next year, they've got to print more money than what they did the last time. And what you'll see and what you'll notice around with the gold's price, numerically, it'll increase at an increasing rate as well. Right?
Absolutely.
So it's a great way to protect your wealth.
The quickening, we call it, where it starts slow and a little bit boring. And then it happens all at once. And everybody's left on the sidelines going, oh, is it too late? Well, no, but you got to buy now. So it's a funny one. But that's it for the podcast today, guys. Just wanted to have a quick little first one, introduce Steph onto the podcast.
Appreciate it.
He will be a regular guest on the podcast, as well as some of the other staff that work at Liberty Bullion. So if you're in Sydney, make sure to swing by our new store when it opens up on the 21st.
It'll be good.
Come see Steph. I'll be there as well for the initial setup, and we'll have a little party afterwards. But yeah, guys, just wanted to make a quick podcast, and what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Exactly right. Enjoy
That's
the rest
it.
of your day, guys. Catch you later.
Have a good one.